Atlen gul chi shoel te kat yuhan. Wasaakw yak ti. Wuch in aya tlachnach yak Jaguchsa aya wa Tekaich awe uhan. Yakashuk ayi tunach aya. Wuchat atilqin ya yidat. Ye awa khoach. Yan has ausene ach yan tu adiye. Ye awa. De has ya kauchut. Haji yes aya. Haji yes wudutli ye khowe hayukatangi. Hadachan kisani kagi yes ha iti kaku. Hastu kagi yes wuchin yejikachtune ya yidat. Chadasa aya et isiku awa hayukatangidat. Achtuasaku wujich kachtu deshi. Yag. Wujach hayidat aya. Achu lingit aya. Kanakha isiku. Gunchi shaya hati adi. Ha idekach yideshi. Kahastsu. Shukwa ayach tuasagu yisaku at yawune. The cut at the jich to tea. Kayak tsu. Kwashkanda ayatikin. At yawune awa we ganchsati. Yat atsu. Kusakhan. Katishaan. Ye awa jaana ye jagachtune. Yiguayach kwan. Khosaku wasa atwune. Wasa haka aya. Uti. Ya slingitrxiti a. Kacha adusa aya. Ha in xiti. Ya yidat qa tlel hatuwa ashkullidzi yijiye yiti. Ajoy kagachta aq sakutin. Slingichta gachtul tu wuyag. Ye awa. Achtu yike. Ya atlein awe ach I has outlet tu hayukatangi. Wan qanins khwasatin. Yetulla an qut aya yejidunei. Kellach tuwa ashkuyag kaa. Ya stat aya shkadat. Ye awa shkadat takach tuti awa yag. Ye awa achtuasaku. Shkadat tundati awa ye yawa kaka jakte. Ye awa hayukatangi. Nak sati. Hatu nagu aya. Kaya tatsushkate tleidihin chanakawanik. Yak tleinyach aya hayukatangi. Mujin aya agachtucha. Akaya de chunde aya koneya na lita yagu. Yewe achtu asagul te katyuhan. Gulchish. I'll translate for you folks. I'm really happy that you're here. I'm really happy that we're together. No matter where we are, we're together right now. The pandemic's been rough. These times are just difficult all around for different people in different ways. But through these electronic means, what Kenny Grant, a Tlingit speaker from Huna, who's Taktein Tan, he named the internet Ichtidei, the medicine person's trail. He said long time ago they used to be able to talk to each other without even being near each other. So I'm very thankful that these technologies can bring us together, and I'm thankful that you're here. I hope you're feeling at peace and that you're in the right place, because you absolutely are. When we learn Tlingit, we commit to doing so with respect as the number one thing. So it's as if we're sitting around a single campfire, and that fire is respect. Keeps us warm, keeps us comfortable. I also adhere to principles of love and kindness, especially while learning, especially while teaching, especially while using the language in a forum like this where we're doing everything we can to keep it going. Those of you who know Tlingit, I'm really thankful that you've come. You're going to help us. We're going to help each other. We're going to all share stuff, learn stuff, do stuff, and just keep sort of spreading the message that this is a language of use, this is a language of power, this language is medicine. And an elder, Jessie Johnny, she told me our language is like a big canoe. When we paddle together, that canoe really starts to glide. That's what we're going to be going for. Because we're going to have times where we're going to set the English aside and just say, okay, let's just use the language. And this language was made for us. And I've been told by Kehinuk, John Martin, Anyashahash, Sam Johnston, that our ancestors prepared this path for us already. They came out and they cleared all the trees and made a path for us. Part of our job is to find the path, stay on the path, keep each other on the path, and light the way for others. This language was made for us, and we're going to make sure that it goes to future generations so that they may continue to be Tlingit. No matter where you are, no matter where you're from, there's a lot that you could bring to this language. There's a lot that you can learn from this language. There's been a lot of stuff that's happened to us as Tlingit people. There's been a lot of stuff that those who are really with us can feel through Shtutdanuk, compassion, and just sort of seeing people suffer. But those suffering, we don't want things to be difficult for you here. We don't want things to be uncomfortable for you here. So we're going to do our best to keep things fun and to keep them moving and to sort of move through into a lesson and then into an activity and then into sharing and sort of just mix things up a little bit in terms of the process of what we're going to do. My name is Khone. I'm Shukach Addi from Raven House in Shkut. My namesake was Fenton Jacobs. I first learned to speak from my grandfather, Gushtahin Silas Dennis, Sr. I have lots and lots of teachers. I'm so thankful for all the things, especially the ones who did it with kindness. Those are the ones I really love to talk to. There's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of people who cause pain. And we're trying to just sort of take a route that's safe, it's welcoming, and where you could just try stuff out. Nobody's expecting perfection here. I'm really happy that you could all be here. My people were also Dekina or Haida. We use the double-headed eagle as our crest from the Frog House in Heidelberg. And my father's people are Yupik and Sami and English. And I'll turn it over to Ida, and then we'll open up. Any way you want to introduce yourself is totally fine. But just remember these things: who you are, what level you consider yourself to be. Don't beat yourself up, but also, assess yourself fairly, I guess. What you hope to gain, what you hope to contribute, one thing you hope to overcome, and something that inspires you. Ida e itkoaha.
Gnashtish, Adlingenstish, Kat Yuhan, Ida Yochatosak, Heather Bird, Yochatosak, Ganachtedi, Aya Yeshna Hatsati, Mohak Dachan Ayachat, Jis Kat Kwandach Kajunadachta. My Tlingit name is Ida. My English name is Heather. I was adopted by Gonerti Marsha Hodge out of Klukwan, Alaska. So I'm Ganachtedi, and I'm also ancestrally Mohawk from the Akwesasne Reservation in upstate New York and southern Quebec. I have been learning Tlingit since 2011. and I'm now very excited to be back at UAS teaching Tlingit. Definitely have a lot to learn myself. So I'm very excited to see so many of you folks here, some of my past students, and then also folks that I know are going to support me in my own language learning. Folks that have been doing this for a really long time. So I'm going to sheesh all of you for being here, regardless of what level you're at. It's, yeah, I guess really inspiring to see so many folks here who are interested in Tlingit, and I just can't thank you folks enough for being part of this. Is that it? Is that all you needed me to say? Oh yeah, so I will be co-teaching with Rene. You'll see both of us most nights. Some nights it'll be one or the other. We'll have some guest folks come and speak with us as well. We'll do some small group stuff. So yeah, we'll sort of just tag team it like that. But as Rene was saying, here in love and kindness to support one another. And if anything comes up, you're more than welcome to send a message to myself or Rene, send us an email. Let us know we're here to support you. I've been thinking a lot about my own teaching role and what it is to teach language, and it does really feel like we're just showing you where the resources are, just showing you what you can learn, maybe some ways to learn yourself, but it really is just kind of holding that door open. And it's kind of up to you folks how much you take that and run with it. And so anything we can do to support that is what we're here for. So Johan, I'm sure I'll have a lot more to say when we get to the scheduling part, the syllabus part, but yeah, so we're going to go ahead and open it up for folks to introduce themselves. We'll take volunteers first, and then we'll sort of go down the line for folks who are a little bit more shy, because we do want to hear from all of you. So if you want to raise your hand, we'll go through the hand raising part first. Yeah.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yesh Yadi Olson wuduwasáakw. Yesh nach hatsati takdentan na ayachat khashai acheli kleit ka yadi. My name is Yesh Yadi Olson. I'm Raven from the Takdentan. I live up in Anchorage. I first took a Tlingit class from Chusha, Elaine Abraham, back in the mid-90s at UAA. It was a year-long class, and I kind of kept up with it a little bit as much as I can, but there weren't a lot of resources back in those days, especially up here in Anchorage. So, and then I still live in Anchorage, so it's really hard to still find resources. So when I saw this opportunity, I decided it was pretty important for me to take it so I can gain a better understanding of some of the words, because I just have a hard time remembering what certain words mean, and some of my pronunciation is wrong, or pronouncing the letters and the sounds. I just need practice, and I don't really have a lot of people to practice with up here. And just as far as contributing, like I really appreciate the safe space, energy and feel. Something I think I would like to contribute is just to contribute to that safe space, and give anybody courage who may be feeling a little self-conscious or a little nervous about speaking out. So I like to just know that it is difficult, and just being here and starting it is a great thing. And like I said earlier, one of the things I would like to overcome is pronunciation, but also I've taken other languages throughout my life, because I'm 48, and I took Tlingit, I've taken Spanish, taken French, and I really have a hard time trying not to translate that stuff in my head to English, because I know even with something like Spanish or French, it's never a direct translation to English, no matter how bad my brain wants to make it that. So, inspiring, I think just knowing that there's 35 people here, because I'm only on my little phone, so I can only see who's ever talking at any one point in time. So it's nice to see that there's so many people who are interested in the language, because when I first took it back in the mid-90s, there was few people, and I kind of wish maybe I would have stuck with it, but it's hard sometimes when you're just living your life and you're going year by year and year by year. But one of the things that has always inspired me, you know, besides the elders, especially the elders who've survived some of the trauma and difficulties that they've had to put up with their whole lives. But also one of the things that encourages me is I live downtown Anchorage and I hear Yupik almost every day. If it's not by somebody in a store, it's, you know, it's, I hate to say it, but it's street people. But I do hear Yupik quite a bit, and it's always inspiring me. There's a time in my life where I'm like, I should have just learned Yupik, because then I could actually like speak it with people at the grocery store and you know, on my way to go get coffee or whatever. So yeah, so Gunashchish and Hawa for the class, and yeah, Yeshiadi is my name.
Sheesh, yeshiyati. Plenty of hands up, so just go ahead. Hands up, folks.
Katie had her hand up first.
Go ahead, Katie.
Awesome, thank you. So, digitgia you wuduwasáakw tlet ka chinach Katie, gunana na chatsati, degitana chatsati, shitka ye chatyati. So I have taken beginning Tlingit 1 and 2 with Ida, which was great. Thank you, Ida. But from this class, I just hope to gain more knowledge and understanding of Tlingit, and I hope to contribute to just the positive, just energy that comes from these kind of classes. And I also kind of want to, since I'm Dekshanog or Dekaton, I'm starting to try to revitalize Dekshanog, and I'm just kind of taking like materials that I learned from Tlingit or that I learned in Hune's class to kind of bring it back to that. And yeah, so I want to contribute to that overall thing, both in Tlingit and in Dekshanog. And one thing that I hope to overcome, I don't know if anybody else feels this, but when you make a lot of material and you kind of get into that like burnout phase, like I want to just overcome that and just keep those creative juices flowing. And something that inspires me is definitely the amount of people in this class. Like, it's so like, I looked at the participants and I expected like 10 or 15 and to see there being 36, like it makes me really happy to know that like there are so many other people that come from like so many different places and just learning environments, and they're all just gathered up in one area to accomplish like their goals. It's amazing. And yeah, so gonna teach.
Yeah, if folks want to also include maybe where they're at, that might be fun to know. I know we got folks all over the place. You definitely don't have to, but if you would like to. Qasin, Ngeune.
Kusin yo hato asak luka adi ayahat kagwanta dieri yechetach. My English name is Jackie Peda. I'm in Juneau. I just finished taking the intermediate class with Hune. I started many, many years ago at the Chilkoot Culture Camp, learning from the elders and running it, and took a hiatus for 20 years in DC. So I'm back. I had the honor of taking classes from people like Walter Sobolov and, my uncle Gokchain and a number of other people. And I'm glad that my clan brother is teaching these days because he's such a great teacher, and I'm just honored to be able to take a class with him. So what I hope to gain, I felt a desperate need to have more everyday contact, to be able to just listen more and practice more. And so I'm hoping that this 5-day a week will be able to help really solidify some of that that practical use that I don't feel like I have enough immersion in my life. What I hope to contribute is, I don't know, just participating and being there, and being supportive of everybody who's here. And the one thing I hope to overcome, I go blank. First of all, I work all day long and I come directly from work. And so it's kind of like I have a little bit of brain fry. And so I need to like get beyond that. And the thing that inspires me the most is the young speakers. I just am so thrilled when I hear them pick up so quickly, and I just want the world to be able to speak Tlingit. So thank you. Ganesh Chish.
Sheesh.
Kayutakach.
Yoke Yakosatini, Kaitakate Yokatuasaka, Albert Schoonover Aya Aksai, Laknakadi Nakatsati, Kayashka Hit, Yoduasak Hanakahidi, Chukadedi Yadi, Hunakawu Ka Shiaraka Kwan, Awehuhan, Douglas Yehut Yeti, live in Douglas. Level is at Kasku Yadi, beginner. I've done beginning 1 and 2 with Ida. Hope to gain to approach the learning process and see how I fit into the teaching process. I have learned starting this that it's learning is a healing process for many of the speakers that are traditional and learned it before we had such this good resource, and just want to be a part of that. The willing to contribute to this, the same thing as learning is healing, and be part of the language challenge. One thing I hope to overcome, I heard it just a couple times already too, is be able to speak it and know what I'm going to say immediately instead of fumbling and thinking about it sometimes. And then inspiration, seeing the many people from other cultures too, learning to step cultural into the limelight. And then I'm a part of ACES. I'm also a student with UAS and a student with UND Engineering, and ACES, American Indian Sciences Engineering Society. They have so many good stories of different natives that have also stated that learning is a healing process. So it's a good thing to prop people up and help them the best you can. So that's why I'm here. Sheesh.
Sheesh. Okay.
Sheesh. Sak-it. Sak-tlik. Sorry, I can't hear. Sak-tlik.
Shatlek, wuduwasáakw, Gunash Chish, Akua Wampanoag, the people who fed my ancestors. Gunash Chish Piasakahi, Tututni, Sasian, Gunash Chish Tongva. I went to school in Los Angeles. Gunash Chish Yupik, Kwan e Kayadi. The Yupik children taught me so much in 3 years, but I was teaching English and there was no chance to learn Yupik. Kadain Gunash Chish, Kadain Chak Iel, and all the Tlingit teachers I have had. I need to turn off my video.
Actually, okay.
Oh, the logger says he doesn't have too much sawdust. He came in. Ya naksawain ayakaw. As people have said, the frustration of not being able to say phrases. I would love to walk with people and be able to say, look at the seagull, that duck flew up, and things like that. I've worked at this. I'm pretty much studying by myself. I take some classes. My accent is horrible. I hope to contribute enthusiasm. I have ideas for materials and games. So there was someone who, I hope we can talk about that some. And I am inspired by the sensible nature of Tlingit culture that helps people live together and know how to support each other. I believe that's the way it was and it will be. And I think that there's so much contained in the language that it's important for us all to know it. And I'm on Sayek. I am on Douglas Island, actually within Juneau. Ganesh Chish.
Okay, Ganesh Chish.
Christine, can get you an A.
Ganesh Chish, Christine Yuchat Duasak Klingit Enach, Dlikak Enach, Jill Yuchat Duasak, Chukinedi City, Chahit Dach, Ka Hunakawudach, Dakdain Tandachchan. Yeah, Ganesh Chish, my name is Jill, my Tlingit name is Christine. I come from Huna, and Juneau Yechat Yeti Yidat Kua. I live in Juneau now. What am I supposed to say now? I think I consider myself about like a intermediate, maybe. I feel like I'm always trying to learn more, and sometimes things come easier to me than they do other days. But I think I'm gonna answer these questions a little bit differently, I suppose. Short-term goals, I suppose I made some really cool puppets recently, and I really want to make some fun Tlingit videos for kids and for adults that are like interactive for learning. So something like that as a short-term goal, but also long-term, just making Tlingit a part of my everyday home use. And we try to a little bit as it is, but I would just like to increase that more. And then just, being around so many fabulous people, it's always inspiring to see so many of you investing yourselves into languages, and that inspires me to do the same. So, Gulchish Hadi Adi Stikayuhan and Gulchish Pooch.
Chish.
Chat Shawat, can get you an A.
Gleka Anak, Natalie Wiggin, Yuhat Duasak, Shlingit Anak, Hat Shwat, Yuhat Duasak, Dakloedi, Ta'an Kwachan, Na Hatsiti, Norwegian Scottish Yadi, Hatsiti, Nacho Nayak Kwan, Ayahat, Ancient Ye, Hat Yati, Gunishchi Hoho. In a white man's language, my name is Natalie Wiggin. In Shlingit, my name is Hat Shawat, which means distant blue sky woman. My mother is Daklawedi and Ta'an Kwachan. My father is Norwegian Scottish. I'm from the village of Mayo. It's in the Yukon Territories, and I now live in Anchorage. Thank you very much. What I wrote down was level, beginner. What I hope to gain, the ability to do the Lord's Prayer and commit it to memory. I've been bothering Lance for a while to get it, and he sent it to me, and I'm so excited. I hope to learn all I can in 3 weeks, and I hope to gain more connection with my ancestral language. What I hope to contribute my support and a listening ear. What I hope to overcome, which a lot of you have said, brain freeze. I get that a lot when speaking. Something that inspires me, Shirley Kendall, her sharing her knowledge, her stories, and her love of culture. And I'm so glad this class was offered, because I can't tell you how many times I've signed up for Shirley's classes and they've been canceled because we don't get enough students. So Ganesh Chish.
Okay, Ganesh Chish.
Each da can get you an A.
Okay. Shia Udanehi Anyat Kusania Gunal Chish Achunkian Hat Ye Adi. Kunach Yake Ye Yat Achwas Geni. Slingit Genach Ichda. Yuchat Duasak. Guski Kwani Genach Dave Kita Jr. Yuchat Duasak. German Chat Sati Slingit Yadi Aychat. Chak Yes Yuduasak Ach Ish. Kuyu Kwan Dach. Kichkan Yechat Kudzati. Portland Yechat Yati. I'll translate. Honorable people, children of the land, thank you for being here. And I felt really emotional saying that. It's really good to look at your faces. So many are here. My Tlingit name is Ichda Dave Kita Jr. My mother's side is German, and my father is Tlingit. His name is Chakyes, and from Kuyukwan. I was born in Ketchikan, and I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm a beginning student of Tlingit. This was just my first year, and I'm hoping to become stronger in the basics and support you all, my friends, as we learn together. And I hope to contribute to a lively learning community. My day job is I'm a high school teacher, and I've noticed that in this environment, classes thrive or struggle based on the participation level of students. And yeah, I'll repeat in a different way what people have said. I hope to overcome my default thinking pattern of everything first in English and then attempting to translate to Tlingit. I want to learn probably more than anything to think in Tlingit. And I'm very, very inspired by the knowledge that as a learner, I stand on the shoulders of many who have worked very, very hard to make it possible for me to one day become conversational in the language of my ancestors. So, Gunalchish Achet Yicha Achi. Thank you for listening to me.
Sheesh. Echa.
Tim Flannery and Gate Renee.
Ganach aya yaada wuduwasáakw. Ganach adi ayachat. Kichkahan ayachat. Yech nachatzati. I am watcher of the Ganachati. I come from the Ganachati clan from the Mink House, and I'm Raven. And I live in Ketchikan. My mother comes from Klawak. Well, I think she was born here, or born in Ketchikan. Her mother comes from Klawak, and her grandfather comes from Metlaketla. And she's an inspiration to me. She grew up speaking the language, but she didn't. She wasn't allowed to speak it when she was growing up. She eventually grew up and became a journalist, but you know, through having to move all the time, had to focus on work and such. Another inspiration for me was Ruth Demert, who I met in Cake, and she always welcomed us, our canoe family. And the story she told me, you know, she dreams in Tlingit when she watches TV. She interprets it into Tlingit. Her strength, you know, is an inspiration. I'm a beginner, And I hope to become a storyteller, a songwriter. I hope to be able to have the ability to carry on a conversation in Tlingit. My passion is to reconnect with my ancestors, their language. I think that's one way to start. I hope to be able to read and write and speak Tlingit without offending anyone. Afrein Gunishish.
Okay, sheesh.
Sheesh, Satuk.
That each act.
Gonna cheesh. Satuk you had to a Ducting tan ayachat Filipino yadi Kagwantan Dutchkan Hunadach. I have been studying Tlingit off and on for many years. The first, I went to a Tlingit immersion Summer Institute session at UAS in 2002. And I had been living in New Mexico for 26 years and then decided maybe I should go home. And I came home that summer and took that class. And the class was with Ethel Mackinnon and Robbie Littlefield. And it was pretty overwhelming and pretty exciting. And I have fond memories of that. So then off and on, since 2002, I have either been really involved with taking classes or not. And at one time I stopped taking classes, and I think now that I think about it, I think I just got overwhelmed. It was too hard. I was never gonna be proficient at speaking. You know, it was just, I wasn't gonna get anywhere. And then I got back into it and said, okay, maybe I won't ever be proficient at speaking, but I really like this grammar stuff. It appealed to one part of my brain of trying to figure out things. So then that kind of lured me back in. And then I just started sticking with it more. And the number of people, older folks, you know, like myself, or at least older than, anyway, older folks still, you know, giving it a try, you know, that's been real inspiring. Little kids are totally inspiring, but I'm not a little kid. You know, I'm not gonna get inspiration for myself from how quickly a 5-year-old picks up the language. But when I see other people who've already had full-time careers and have been living as an adult in an English-speaking world, giving it a whirl and really trying hard, that is inspiring to me. And one of the things I think I can contribute is some of my own learning experiences and what has worked well, and some of the goofy mistakes that I continue to make. And I consider myself an intermediate. I'm almost an intermediate speaker, but mostly still at the top end of a beginner speaker. But I am an intermediate learner in terms of the language. And one of the things that I have shared with people is I have met so many great people through Tlingit classes. And we have study buddies now in Teslin. So, and Ketchikan, Huna. So I have really appreciated the opportunity to be part of the Tlingit learning community. Goodness, sheesh. Linda Bellardi is my English name.
Okay, sheesh.
Ashke, Nke Iwane.
Sheesh. Eska aya asta you wuduwasáakw. Satuk Ashak aya. Satuk, who just finished talking, is my older sister. So what she said, no, I'll still do mine. Let's see. Akdain Ton, Ayachet, Filipino Yedi, Kaguantan Dutchan, Hunakawu, Ayachet, Huna Yechet, Yeti, Yidat, Huna schools, Yejichane. I work at Huna City Schools. Kasai Hitach, our clan house is Kasai Hit Ka Tag Hit, Yes Yadi, Yak Exetini, Yes Yadi spoke at the beginning, and he's our brother, our clan brother, younger. But anyway, Yak A. Last time I saw you was at the opening of the clan house at Glacier Bay. Yak Exetini. Costine spoke already, and she's my student from middle school at Huna School. So I'm very proud of her. I saw Koskatine's name, so she's here also. And Koskatine is one of the new language scholars, and very, very proud that she spent some time with me this past semester as a practicum student, and the kids loved her. They loved seeing a young teacher. So yeah, wow, yuck. So I'm a teacher at Huna City Schools. When I first moved here, I was a third grade teacher, and I have since retired. I'm gonna have to confess it was a couple of decades ago, and but it has been my honor for many years to be the Tlingit language teacher here in Huna, and I teach in the elementary grades. I go from preschool up to 5th grade, and I have a wonderful partner now. Heather Powell is teaching in the upper grades. So we have a team, and it's so wonderful to have her energy. And I'm sure she's going to be showing up in this class, but I think she's in Angoon with the basketball team right now. But I know she'll be along. She'll be coming to this class, I'm sure. Let's see. So I guess I'm not a very good Tlingit speaker, but I can speak really well to little children, to teach them the real elementary things. We've been Quantling, so Quantling and I and Ake, who is Heather, have been working with Gwinnett lately, working on our actual teaching. And we very much appreciate her. Marshall Hotch has been helping us with specific teaching language, like we're working on our waist. We've got a glacier with different objects for handling, the different verbs you need for handling different things. Anyway, okay, so we're doing that while we're teaching. We're always learning. So the reason I'm in this class is because all my friends are in here, peer pressure, my study buddies, and our study group that meets 2 days a week is not meeting for the next 3 weeks because most of the people are in this class. So Yadu Khat, here I am. I'm inspired by all the people that are trying to learn. I'm inspired by the teachers that I've had through the years. And I'm inspired by Akshak Satuk, who is my main study buddy and my main cheerleader. She's always encouraging me to keep going and saying, oh, you did really good. And anyway, what else? I was gonna say that I don't speak very well in front of large groups of people. Adults, I do very well with small children. I go yak, 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 yak in front of small kids. But in front of adults that I don't know, I don't do as well. And I think there people are talking about how they get stuck on their Tlingit when you're trying to speak in Tlingit. Yeah, I do that too. So that's something that I do need to practice more, being able to speak in Tlingit more. And I also wanted to do a shout out to Albert Schoonover, who is the nephew of Achoch. He's my husband's nephew. So I can hardly wait to tell his uncle that I saw him in this class today. So you
could tell your friends, thank you all for dragging me here. We'll do 3 more and then we'll take a short break. Those with hands up. Ida, you next.
I think it's whoever is iPhone. That's who's next.
I think she was the one who came in a bit late. She started to introduce herself. Hunai, when you were
Oh, I think
her name.
Teslin, Deslin, Kwan.
Okay, that's Martina Sydney on her iPhone.
Hello.
Oh, okay, Martina, you want to say hi?
Yeah, sorry, I just with a bunch of my nieces and nephews, and they're just crazy. But gonna teach everyone for having this, and it's amazing to attend it. I've been into some, minor introductories and stuff, and I've just always learned from learning the language from my grandmother and her siblings, and they're all a lot older than I am, and so I've always just listened to them speaking up through life, and I can't understand. I can understand my family dialect is what I should say. I can understand when my grandmother and them talk to me in the language and ask me to do stuff, or just talk. My late auntie, we were at the language conference in Juneau a couple years ago. I think maybe 3 years ago, just about now. And she was telling me stories in Tlingit about one of the mountains over in Juneau, and she was telling me in Tlingit and where we came from, where our family line comes from over there. And I could understand every word that she was telling me in the language. So I don't know what you would call that, but I'm not too fluent, but I can really understand when they tell me stuff. And I'm a real beginner. I can understand, I can say my introductory of my Tlingit name and who my clan leader is, and where I come from. But other than that, I kind of get intimidated by it, and I get nervous because I don't like to be wrong, but it's the beginning process, and I really want to start learning our language, and especially because my grandmother, she's 90, she'll be 91 this year, and just to to learn from her, I think would be a lot more amazing too. She's done a lot of stuff in her lifetime of working with the radio station and speaking our language over the radio and stuff, and so I just think it would be a great contribution, and to learn for our children, you know, that are coming up behind us, and to influence them to speak our tongue, you know, and for the next generations and the next generations that keep coming, you know. And I have my little nieces and my little nephews, and you know, they know how to speak the language as well, you know, to a certain limit. But I think it would be amazing and wonderful one day when we all speak pure Tlingit, right? And what I expect to learn out of this is just anything that is being offered. You know, I don't expect to speak Tlingit overnight or anything, and I know it's a learning process, and learning our language is always fun. You know, there's always lots of laughs and good jokes and always good humor, and so I look forward to it. And yeah, and I just want to keep attending more courses. The more I put into it, you know, the more I think I'm going to get out of it. So I just want to thank everybody once again, and for everybody that is here attending it. And yeah, Gunichish, Sakati Yuan, Gunichish.
Okay, Gunichish.
Pat Race and get you in it.
Yeah, Gunichish. I live here in Juneau, and I want to be, you know, in 5-10 years, I want to be part of everyone downtown walking around speaking Tlingit to each other. I don't want to be the grumpy old guy that feels left out. I'm here to learn, and I am at the very beginning end of the beginner spectrum. So I'm also here to encourage all of you, because I will be so bad. I'm a filmmaker and illustrator. I grew up here, and going to school in elementary school. I remember 4th, 5th grade, you know, we had our sister cities. We had this Japanese teacher who was like in the school with us every day, teaching us the language. And I learned a lot of Japanese songs and traditions and artwork, and how to write my name. I still remember a lot of that stuff, and I'm kind of ashamed and appalled that I don't have the same knowledge of Tlingit that I do of Japanese growing up here. You know, and I guess I'm kind of also at a stage in my life where I'm trying to kind of understand what it means to be born onto land that was stolen, and you know, how do I help to make some of that better? And I think learning the language and understanding the culture is a big part of that. My dad grew up in Nyack, which is a mining camp up outside of Bethel, and he moved here in the 60s. And my mom came up from California, and she was a storytime librarian. And when I was 3, they bought a house that it was an old water barrel, like a big round water barrel, and it had been converted into a home by a guy named Joe Zuboff, who did a ton of carvings. It was full of form line and abalone inlays, and just, I mean, like gorgeous, amazing work. And I didn't even know, it wasn't unusual or anything, because I just lived there. But I was surrounded by this like my entire childhood. And I think I'm still understanding what influences that has had on my like visual aesthetic and appreciation for artwork. But I feel very lucky to have had that experience. Let's see, what did I miss? What do I hope to gain? I hope to unbury some of the stories and words and things that I already know. I hope to learn what I have to contribute. I hope to have something to contribute. And aside from the big philosophical stuff that I feel like I have to overcome, I'd like to get better at some of the back of the throat sounds that I'm not very good at. And what inspires me lately has been, I've been working on a film with Ernestine Hayes and getting to edit a lot of her speaking, and she's brilliant, and so she's been very inspiring. And also people who make music are inspiring. And thank you all, you're all inspiring, and I'm glad to be here with you. Gunashish.
Sheesh. Okay.
Okay, one more before we take a break. Kinisach, get you in a. Charles.
Katinas achit choha.
Katinas ach. Gunas chish to cut you on. Yake yixatini ye dat. Katina Shah, you had to sa Klingakena Kokusti, Kokatan, I had Daislin Kwan City, Yech City. Ach ish Atukach Ka Leon Jules, Gleka Ach Kla Ganda Ach Ka Kituk. Ach Kla du Kla Ki safe Yudasagen Ka Ach Kla du Ish Cohen Yudasagen Andrew Jacob Smith Ka Maud Fox way to yak a Klinget Yukatangi Gedang Klinget Yukatangi. My name is Charles Jules. Katina Shah Yuhatuasao is my Klinget name. Dachlueti Yatki, from my father's people, the Eagle clan. My father's name is Atukah, and it means the leader of the wolf pack. And my mom is Clara Jules, and her Indian name is Kichuk Ka Ganda Ach. I think Kichuk means like the little snowbird, or the way they fly together or something. And her second name was more of a nickname. It's Clarabelle, which goes along with her Glayka nickname. I come from Teslin, Whitehorse General Hospital, City, 1973. Jawe, Shishkohesh, Slinkitrukatangi, Weda, Wusijini, the Sutherland River, 30 mile, and 24. I took one class in Whitehorse with our Atlan Kwan teachers, our brothers and sisters from Atlan. I also took a course online for a while. I've been going in and out of language class. Achunt Kune Guneschish Kune Ka Idaka Guneschish Idaka. They have been working with us. And one of the things that inspired me was I grew up with Achkla Chukatim Dugasagan, my auntie Jane Smart, my uncle Achkal Edward, they taught Tlingit class, as well as a few other ancestors. So I grew up learning it on a trap line, hearing my grandparents talk, so I can understand a little bit as well. And my auntie Jane really inspired me, along with our other elders, Gonkli, Yudasagan, Aggie. I want to become a better speaker, to be able to carry the language and the culture forward for future generations. I think to Wetu, I want to work on better pronunciation and just to be able to carry a conversation on. And we're getting there slowly but surely. Our family members here in Teslin, Daisling Kwan, some of them are much further ahead. They're taking classes more frequently, more regularly. So I'm inspired by that as well. I too want to learn how to read it and write it better. There's some pronunciations that I'm looking at. I have a bunch of books from the Yukon Native Language Center with Jeff Lear and some of our other ancestors, that Gladys and Pearl Keenan. Yeah. So yake yixitini gunischish takachuan igajuan.
Sheesh, wukecha. That's a wonderful start, everybody. So if you haven't gone yet, give it some thought. If I look at my clock, it says 6:43, Alaska Gawu. So let's come back at 6:50 and we'll just keep it going. So take a short break and see folks in a few.
egg and cheese. Once Renee is back, we'll go ahead and get started. If folks want to raise their hands, or we'll just go down the list, either way.
So those of you who may have joined a little late, we're just introducing ourselves. So however you want to introduce yourself, and then we put a few sort of things in there. I guess we added one. What level do you consider yourself to be? What do you hope to gain? What do you hope to contribute? What's one thing you hope to overcome? And what's something that inspires you? And where are you at?
Yeah, in Chichuan, in Gay Iwane.
Jeremy Simmons, Aya Achsai, Skagwake, Yechat Yati, Hesh Achnach Uste, Scotlandach Shagun Ani, Armstrong Kau Chatsati, Irish Catholic Yadik Chatsati. I'm consider myself a beginner. I tried to teach myself Tlingit about 25 or so years ago, back when the Downhauer's book was on cassette tapes, until I got stolen out of my car before I ever came up to Alaska. When I came up here, I was lucky enough to take some classes with Hune before he moved on to bigger and better things. And over the years, I've taken a class here and there, but I've never got past like remembering single words, and never had anybody to speak it with to maintain anything that I'd learned. And I guess what I hope to gain is, well, last summer when Outer Coast did the same kind of class, and there was, I think, over, I don't know, 80 people at one. I started doing that, and suddenly there was like a way to like talk to other people and like build from what I'd learned. And that's been like one of the best parts of the past, like otherwise kind of crappy year. And so what I hope to gain is like more of a connection to everybody else out there who's trying to learn the language. I've always, like, I love language just in general, and whenever I travel, I like to learn as much of the language there, and it's always felt kind of, I don't know, like, it's bothered me that I couldn't speak the language of the land, and so I would really like to do that. I don't know what I really have to contribute, but I guess I hope to figure out what it is that I can contribute. What I'd like to overcome is the trepidation of like opening my mouth and speaking in Tlingit, because I haven't had anybody really like to speak to often, and so most of the language is inside my head, and so it always sounds different. Sounds better in there than what comes out of my mouth. And then to not like rely on notes so much, to do things from memory. And I'm inspired by like everybody's ideas. I'm really looking forward to seeing Costine's puppet show, and all the different ideas that people have had, and all the people I've been in class with and that I see here tonight too. It's great, kind of continuing that community. So
Lizzie.
Liz, I had Elizabeth Egan, you had to a sock, ka nahatsati, ka Singit ka supia ka Irish yadi hatsati, Norwegian dachan ayahat, Squaxin Island ani fixin, ye hat kutsati, the that's where I live now. So I live in Shelton, Washington, and I'm a beginner, and I've been really fortunate to be a part of what in the last year has become the Seattle Zoom Quan, and it's been a real lifeline during the pandemic, and we read stories and work on pronunciation and have check-ins. That's been really wonderful. And I also the way I use the language is really through memorizing. I haven't internalized a lot of grammar, so that's something that I hope to be able to do. And I think that one thing I would like to overcome is the sense of scarcity of Gao, this idea that there's like, I'm like, oh, I have to work. I don't have time to really like go through this rich abundance of materials that exists. Like was said, the path has been cleared before us, and I can wander a little bit farther from camp than I have, and use some of those materials that are just so awesome and free. Appreciate that. Really enjoyed the time we had last summer. What do we call it? MOOC. That was really a great opportunity to spend time together in the language and just be surrounded by it. So that's something that I'm hoping to gain by coming here again, is just Katangi together, and something to contribute. I really appreciate the warmth and kindness of the crews that I've been able to have access to online. I hope to offer that back to you, and maybe some bad jokes and laughter. And something that I'm really inspired by culture keepers and language keepers and people who are doing so much to keep perpetuating language and culture.
Achkani, Atleinkani, Stichtu Kadachsa.
Kanashish, Ida Kahune, Shitiktu Ayahat Yanedi Shah Hasati, Achlich, Evelyn Ka Sylvester Jack. My grandparents are Evelyn and Sylvester Jack, and Antonia Jack was my great grandmother, and Achtich, Edziu, Husikenk Kich, Edziu, Techi, Woodlywith. I'm happy to see my little cousin, my little sister Edziu, in class. Go ahead, Dakwa.
Yiksetin. Dakwa wuduwasáakw, Yanidi Hasati. Hatkla Shitiktu wuduwasáakw. Ka hat ish micrudic wuduwasáakw. Let's see. My name is Dakwa. I am from the Young Yeti clan, the Wolf Clan. This is my mother, Shiktiktu, and my father's Mike Rudick. And I am 13 years old. I'd say curricular wise, I am intermediate, but I still feel like a beginner.
We're beginners.
One thing I hope to gain is, well, just to learn new words that I can easily use in a conversation. I don't really have much to contribute, but I will do my best to learn the language. One thing I hope to overcome is speaking in front of crowds, which is where I'm kind of nervous. And what kind of inspires me is just the language itself. I love the way that you pronounce words and sentences. And I just love hearing other people saying Tlingit. So that's me.
Nishchi Adi.
Okay.
Nishchish, Victoria Bennett, Ikoha.
Hi, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. Sometimes I speak a little low, so let me know if I need to speak up. My name is Victoria Bennett, and I know everybody has been saying that they're beginners. I would have to say I'm a beginner, because I don't speak. I say gumashchish. That's the word I've been practicing for a few months now, just all on my own, out in just regular every day with everybody to feel comfortable with it. So I should say I'm here in San Diego. So not sunny today, but it'll be sunny again. My mother is Roberta Greenwald. She was born and raised in Alaska, in Hoona, I believe. My tribe is Tlingit. So my father was Scottish. My clan is Eagle. My house is Wolf. And so for many years, I've been really wanting to speak this language. There just unfortunately hasn't been a lot of resources. And I would probably say this is a good 15 year in the making for me to be here today. So gumashtish for allowing me to have this opportunity to be with all of you. Hearing everybody speak the language, I would have to say everybody so far, you all sound so beautiful and speak it very well, in my opinion. What I would like to gain is probably, I would like to learn more than 1 or 2 words. And maybe by the end of the 3 weeks, I'll have at least maybe 10 words I use, and I'll use it on a regular basis and then continue on with my, my understanding of the language. Contribute. I want to contribute to share this language with as many non-natives, non-speaking natives out in the community that I live in, and maybe perhaps seek out someone or a few individuals here to speak the language with me, so I can continue to get better at it. Overcome my nervousness, I mean, not only nervous in speaking this language, but just in the nervousness of speaking in a group of individuals. Though we're not face to face, but we're still, in this large surrounding. So probably just overcome my fear of speaking the language and feeling comfortable with it. Inspiration, all of you. I mean, all of you here, I feel so inspired and look forward to learning as much as I can.
Sheesh.
Hello, my name is Lily. I am also just I'm a complete beginner. I know a couple of words like natshish, and although I kind of hope to gain a better grasp of kind of the pronunciation of a lot of the sounds, because I think that's my tripping point is just struggling with making those and feeling like I don't actually know what word I'm saying. I don't think I'm saying the word I'm trying to say. And I also really hope to gain, I guess, people who I can practice with and a sense of community. I live in Oregon, so it can be kind of hard to sort of feel like I'm connected because, you know, language is about connection. It's about your community and your place. And I feel like I kind of miss a lot of that because we don't speak the language in my family. But for my background, I was born in Wasilla, although my mother was born in Haines and my grandmother comes from Juneau. Her name was Shirley Paddock. And my mother's name is Michelle Davis. I am Tlingit, Eagle Moiety, and Killer Whale Fin House. And I'm also Aleut. My father comes from Virginia. Yeah, and I want to kind of contribute sort of just like a positive outlook. I was really excited to see, you know, I found this class like today through the Facebook post and I was like, oh my gosh, it fits my schedule. I can actually participate in this because there have been a couple opportunities in the past that I couldn't quite fit into because of my work or whatever was going on. I guess I also, I kind of want to overcome my anxiety about not doing it correctly and not saying things correctly, because I think that holds me back more than anything. And what inspires me is really my mother. She's come through a lot and she's worked really hard to make sure that we have had a good life and have had sort of a loving place to be. And I really admire her for that and the work that she does. Yeah, so thank you. Good night, cheese.
Okay, goodness cheese.
Cheese, Naomi.
Hi, Naomi. I am from the Okanagan tribe that is on the Colville Reservation in Washington, which is where I'm at in Olympia. I am a very beginner, like hearing everyone, you know, introduce themselves in Tlingit and then say, oh, I'm a beginner. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't introduce myself. I really hope to gain like just the knowledge of something that I love and hold dear, which is just native languages in general. I think it's truly important to learn. I haven't really been able to learn my native language myself, so anytime there's an opportunity to learn like any native language, I am on it. And I really hope to contribute more to my community. I currently am not in Alaska, but that's where I go to a lot, and I want to have a career up there. And I think there's just some comfort in like someone who speaks your own language, and you know, something I want to overcome. I actually signed up for this class and I thought it was for beginners. And then when I found out it was for all levels, I got really intimidated and I wanted to back out, but I'm here and I'm pushing myself to be here and I'm really nervous about it. Thanks. But yes, that's what I hope for. And something that inspires me, I am honestly just really inspired that we can be here and, you know, learn Tlingit just in general. It's amazing, it's awesome, and I'm very, very excited to learn. Thank you.
Yuk echawe, gnchish.
Gnchish. Idzui. Idziu. Edziu. Jarechanu.
Hello, hello everyone. My name is Edziu. It's actually my Tahltan name, and I'm also Taku River Tlingit. I'm from the Jack and Carlick families. My grandmother is Marjorie Jack, who is John Jack's daughter with Rosie Dennis. I'm Tahltan and Taku River Tlingit. I'm Yech, so I'm Raven, and I'm Kokatan. I know a few words in Tlingit, and I've gotten a small handle on some pronunciations, but I grew up more in my Tahltan territory, going there more, because I went to school mostly in Whitehorse and lived with my mom there, who's white. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm a two-spirit person, so I'm just happy to be here and hold that space for my two-spirit and trans ancestors that we always had part of our communities. Ganeshish. I'm a beginner for sure. I hope to gain more of a deeper understanding of our songs that I've grown up around or grown up singing in potlatch, but haven't really fully understood their meaning, or maybe just understood like a little bit of. And I just want to build a really solid foundation to continue to learn our language, especially with pronunciations, and kind of being able to read pronunciations so I can further my learning on my own or with my kin and with my sister and sister cousin Cherish and other people. Yeah, I hope to contribute dedication over the next 3 weeks. As I'm not working right now, I've been ill, so I've just recovered from cancer. So I'm really excited to be here and to continue to continue to heal in that way and do my own work of healing. And I feel like learning our language can help with that right now for me. I would like to overcome the self-doubt, because I think self-doubt contributes a lot to a lack of discipline. And I have recognized that sometimes that gets in the way of my life. And this is one area where I think I can work on that right now over the next few weeks. And the things that inspire me, well, originally I was inspired to do more language going to one class, just kind of popping in for my Uncle Dwayne, who I'm adopted into his family from my grandma Vicky, through my father Gordon Levern, Yanatan. And originally I was inspired because I was able to attend one class one day with Auntie Aggie and Auntie Jane, and they really made me want to be around Tlingit language more. And especially I got to spend some time with Auntie Aggie last year, and some more time than before. So she really inspired me to continue on and really helped me. And yeah, that's all I have for now. Ganeshish. Thank you, everyone.
Yake, gnchish. Gnchish.
Gnchish. Sarah Lewis, and get you an
Gnchish. I'm Sarah. I'm in downtown Juneau. I'm definitely a beginner. This is my first class of my first course, so I'm very excited about that. What I hope to gain for sure in this very beginning of my learning is to get a better ear for the language and pronunciation skills. I don't know yet what I really have to contribute other than enthusiasm and excitement and willingness to learn here, which is I'm pretty excited about. But I do need to overcome fear of getting it wrong, like many people. have mentioned. The fear of saying it wrong is definitely something that I will need to overcome. But something that it definitely inspires me is having lived here in Juneau all my life, like Pat brought up earlier, is just knowing how many decades this is in the making, that we can all be here, 35 of us. And I like the Zoom Quan idea. And that's pretty inspiring that here we are, and that I'm able to take this course now, which is wonderful. And into the future, what inspires me is also the idea of being able to include Tlingit language in everyday life in Juneau. So that's kind of an inspiring thought. So that's me. Thank you very much. Gunalchish.
Okay, gunalchish.
Okay. Cheryl Fairbanks.
Gunalchish. Saquasqua Ayahat. I'm Cheryl Demert Fairbanks. I grew up on Prince of Wales in Ketchikan, and I live in Cedar Crest, New Mexico, on the Sandia Mountain, the homelands of the Sandia Pueblo and the Tamaya people. I was named by Satkwe of the Takwanedi Hinyakwan. And what inspires me are my grandkids who can just rattle off, from their Tlingit classes. And of course, my grandmother, Satkwe, who was a Tlingit speaker, and she spoke very little English, but we managed to communicate. And so I say Goresh Chish to all of you. You're inspiring. Goresh Chish.
Okay, gunalchish. Sorry if there's any interrupt. I got booted off for a second. So
I got a good frozen picture of you though, so it's all good. Gloria Mary in Gateway.
Sasigao yukat duasaku, great ka kinak Gloria, Italian ka Czechoslovakian ka city, Napoli kwan awe yuhan, Scots Irish dakan aya kat, New York ye kat watsiti, Juneau ye kat yati, UAS ye jikane. I am called Sasigao, Gloria in English. I am Italian, Czechoslovakian, and we are the people of Napoli. I am a grandchild of the Scots Irish. I was born in New York. I live in Juneau, and I work at UAS. Let's see. I consider myself a beginner, even though I've taken beginning Tlingit with Ida, but thought I was doing good until I was in one of the Thursday sessions, and Nawea asked if anybody knew what gal meant. And I was like, I know I should know that word. I really know I should know that. And then when he told me, yeah. So anyway, I hope to gain more confidence to speak and improve my retention of the language so that I don't actually have to read it off the paper and can just remember it. I hope to contribute to building a speaking community, especially here in Juneau, and to, like many people, overcome my fear of speaking in general. And as for what inspires me, I've been working at UAS for many years, listening to the Tlingit language and have always thought it would be a good thing to learn, especially since I am living in Tlingit. And I would hope to be able to inspire more people to learn it. Gunashish.
Okay, Chishcha.
Chish, Chutz Uchu,
Chutz Uchu Yuchat Duasak Le Ka Heach Bob Fagan Zantik Hinik Yechat Yati Boston Kutzati Morton U Dusagun Achish Irene U Dusagun Achfa. My name's Bob Fagan, and my Tlingit class name is Uhu. I'm in Juneau, and I was born in Boston, and my parents were named Morton and Irene. Let's see, I am at the intermediate level in some things, and I can read on an advanced level, and I hope to gain greater fluency with the language and the company of Tlingit language learners, and I'd like to contribute my experience in learning Tlingit and small things that have been helpful to me along the way. For example, Tlingit isn't like riding a bicycle. It's more like working out to stay fit. If you don't do it every day, you know that you should have. And language isn't like that when you learn it when you're young and you've used it all your life. I'd like to overcome my difficulty speaking in Tlingit, and being part of a community of Tlingit learners inspires me. Hooch.
Ukecha, Chish.
Renee or Renee Drummond.
It's Renee Yuchat Duasáakw. That's the extent of Tlingit that I know how to speak. You've heard it all. That's all I know. So I'm very much a beginner. Sorry, I'm going to scroll back to the list. What I hope to gain. So I'm a teacher here in town, and I was inspired by a professional development opportunity given by Alaska Heritage Institute about 7 years ago to incorporate Tlingit culture into curriculum. And I worked hard to think of how to do that. And I specifically focus on, or have focused on, including, I call them creation stories, oral narratives, as a foundation for all learning in my classes. So I was able to develop curriculum at the high school and middle school levels. And now I'm moving to the TCLL program, which is the Tlingit Culture, Language, and Literacy program housed in Harborview Elementary School. And I'll be the 2-3 teacher, the 2nd and 3rd grade teacher. So all of those students have many years more experience speaking Tlingit than I have. And I'm never bothered by students knowing more than me, but I do want to not walk in knowing nothing. I want to especially focus on encouraging words, things like your brain is growing, or let's hold each other up, or things that I would, have been normally saying to students in English that are particularly encouraging that struggle is good. And although it's hard, it's worth it. Other things, and I don't know that this class will necessarily meet all my goals. I think the team of teachers will, but transitions, songs that will maybe are used throughout the classes. But I think some things I'll gain from this, and some things that'll be very specific information, perhaps from that group. So I have great aspirations. In particular, I'd like vocabulary. I generally have my year's curriculum kind of in my head for a lot. So I'd like to think about words like carnivore, omnivore, herbivore, or something that means something synonymous, or behaviors of animals, and things that might fit into the curriculum. So is there a word? There must be some word for evaporation, or I think there must be words that exist or that did exist and maybe need to be recreated or thought of again. I just find it really fascinating and beautiful, that process. What I hope to contribute, I think I bring some humor. At least I'm willing to laugh at myself when I make mistakes, and not in any mean-spirited way, but just the lightheartedness that comes along with many people trying new things, and that it's okay that we're stumbling along the way. And so I think that ease, I think I put people at ease, or I hope I do. One thing I hope to overcome, I have a strong dependence on visual text to help me pronounce. And I don't know that that's actually the best way for your brain to learn language, especially when you're trying to not just have memorized sentences. So that overdependence is a crutch, or has been in other languages I tried to learn, where if I couldn't see it, I couldn't remember it. For some reason, the visual is really powerful for me, and I need to get away from that, or train my brain to think differently. And something that inspires me, my daughter is 7, and nothing comes, well, I shouldn't say nothing. Many things don't come easy to her. She doesn't compare herself to others, though. She'll see someone being able to do something she can't do, and it doesn't make her feel bad about herself. It makes her want to keep trying. And I find that amazing in someone so young. So for instance, she just learned to ride her bike, and most of her friends were riding their bike at 3 or 4. And she's never felt bad about it. She just wanted to keep practicing. So I'm hoping that I'll maintain a similar attitude and perseverance that she holds. Thank you for listening.
Okay, good chischa.
Knock in gate you
Nak ayak sai yesh na oxity kiksedi hitsiti kik kwandach junoch ye hityati. I think that my level is maybe beginner, intermediate, and I hope to gain higher fluency. Maybe learn some cuss words or something. I'm just kidding. Just joking. Let's see. I hope to contribute to live with the language in my home and my community, more with my family. One thing to overcome, maybe to learn how not to use English and normalize Tlingit with my peers. And I'm inspired by Ashuka Khayetki.
Okay, chischa.
Vaccine wanted
Tachzinach Chukanedi Hutsati Kai Hit Hunakau Dach Achtuasigu create more posters, kind of like this big poster right here with all this Tlingit language on there. I've been teaching some classes in carving yauk, Tlingit yauk, and it's been really hard because they're not all Tlingit language students or speakers, and some of them they've never taken a class in their life, like a good majority of them. So it's hard to get them to learn or want to speak Tlingit if they've never heard it, they've never been a part of their life. And I think in-person class, it's so much easier to, other than just having like all these amazing resources that are out there. If they were all over the room, we can just look at and refer to that while we're carving, and I think be able to create more, more speakers that way. That way we're using the language to do something, to carve, to create art, and Tlingit art especially. I want to see that develop more, and I know there's a lot of folks doing the same thing, and I just want to do my part in teaching Tlingit language. More through Tlingit language than about Tlingit language, so we can achieve more.
Your microphone was keeping things a little quiet, so you might have to adjust or kick. I don't know what to do. Get close. Take it from the top. We can hear it. It was just pretty quiet.
Totally.
Sheesh.
Eat woo. And get one.
Sorry, I just found out I don't know how to put my hand up on Zoom. So anyways, Cheitwu, wuduwasáakw, Tleitga Kenach, Joe wuduwasáakw, Achtla, Tlagoon, Yudusagan, Yanyedi Shawat, Kwanlent, Yechatiati. So yeah, my English name is Joe Binger. I live in Whitehorse. I don't have a lot of hopes, really, but I do have a lot of things that inspire me. The levels, I don't really like framing things that way, but I guess I'll say that I've taken a lot of courses in Tlingit. So what inspires me, I guess the first thing would be the teachers that I've had. I've had some wonderful teachers, Waksani, Emma Sam, Tlagoon, Sophie Smarch, Kay Shi, Bessie Cooley, who works with me now and is just so generous and so knowledgeable. Kune, Zeush. Yeah, so I've been really lucky that way, blessed, I think. Like one of those earlier speakers said, it inspires me to see young people learning the language. And it also, I guess I'll give a shout out to Satuk's study group. I know how hard those people work, and I've seen them come so far in the last year, so that's inspiring. And also, it's great to see so many inland people here tonight, so along with everybody else. But thank you.
Just start going down the list then,
Yeah, let's see who.
Sha'ao-ish.
There's a few folks we haven't heard from yet, and thanks everybody for hanging with us, and for those of you who've spoken so far, and those who are getting ready to. It's all good. We're just sharing stuff about ourselves, getting to know each other a little bit before we just sort of really take off. shaqaw ishi itqoha.
Oh. Hayechat wuduwasáakw llingit qeynach shaqaw ish tleitqa qeynach qoas. Devlin Anderstrom ayachat. Owe. I'm just kidding. Kinech qon chat city. This city dach. Ach ish has qoawush kitan. You ta'aqu qan yi ayu has tletal. Takat ye ayu has wulligaz. Take shangu kridi ayu has. Awe yari daddi ari qoaya hatlingit qeynach. Wuduwasáakw quchna qachuch'akna ayuhas qatqo ayelna. My name is Shakoish Devlin Anderstrom. I'm Kinech Kwan. I'm from the Copper River clan from Yakutat. I'm a child of Wushkitan. I'm from the Moon House. And my dad is from the Fort House. So I'm on the Raven side, Tlake Klaganeti. And my dad's on the opposite side. Today we'd call it the wolf moiety or the eagle moiety. Let me read this real quick. Oh, what I hope to gain? Well, I would sure like to exchange a lot of good old Tlingit language with all you folks here. And I think it always really helps to be around it and to be good people that are positive and supportive about learning the language and sharing the language. I really like to see people making progress, especially together. It's very exciting for me. I myself, I work in Tlingit language. I'm a transcriber and translator. I do work with a couple of different organizations. I actually work with IDA also on the UBC TTC partnership. So I just do all kinds of language work, and I can speak some, understand some. I hope to contribute whatever knowledge and experience I have with the language and discourse, and I can help anybody if you would need help translating something into or from the language. One thing I hope to overcome is this feeling of distance between myself and other learners in the language community. I'd like to have a more tighter knit community. And something that inspires me is the fact that we have so many people taking time out of their day right now to do this and to learn Tlingit language. So it's all of you folks.
Okay. Cheesecake. Okay.
Oh yeah. Also, probably the main part of my introduction here.
Okay. Cheese playing.
Sheesh. Janine. Okay,
The unmute button. Sheesh. Yiktitu wuduwasáakw. Yech nak hatsiti. Ganaktadi ayachat. And now I have to switch to English. So many emotions going through right now. This is probably a 17-year dream I've had, is to join the Tlingit language class like this. And here we are. I was born in Haines, and my grandmother grew up in Skagway. My dad and uncle and grandmother are all from the Killer Whale Fin House in Klukwan. I was given a Tlingit name before I was old enough to know what was happening. And then life is complicated. I left Alaska and grew up in the lower 48 states and had no idea about the culture my family had come from. And until my uncle flew me back to Alaska when I was 18 for a ku'ich, and talk about a crash course in Tlingit culture across 48 hours. And it felt totally new, totally strange. I had no idea what I'd gotten into, but I loved it. And I just rolled with it. It was pretty amazing. And then I lived in Haines a bit for some brief periods of time and worked summer jobs. And one of them was, I spent the last 2 summers with the Chilkat Indian dancers. That was pretty fun. Again, I didn't understand the significance at the time, but I was learning about this culture that my family was from, and just it came in bits and pieces, which drove my curiosity. So I tried to learn as much as I could. I met Evelyn Hotch and joined her with some women in Klukwan a few times just to go over some Tlingit words. Only a couple of them stuck with me. But after that, I didn't really know who, if anyone was studying the language. And fast forward, I left Alaska in my mid-20s and lived in 2 other states. Anyway, doesn't matter. And I carried around several Tlingit language textbooks over the years, thinking I'd love to learn the language, but don't really know how to dive in, but I'm not going to let living outside Alaska stop me. So I spent a few hours trying to pursue that on my own and didn't work out terribly well. I realized what I really need is a community. And that's something I've been hoping to have someday. And then 4 years ago, I moved to Alberta, Canada. Never dreamed I would live on this side of the border, but here I am. And shout out to all the Tlingit people on both sides of the border. It's really neat to see how the continuity in both countries with Tlingit culture. And I've really appreciated getting to know about that more from here. I live near Calgary, and I took the Outer Coast class last summer and met a local Tlingit, and she's my study buddy, and that's been really amazing. What I hope to gain, I think I've already covered some big goals, dreams of having a Tlingit language community to speak with and learn with. I'm a beginner. I've tried to memorize words, but they often don't stick. I want to overcome intimidation of those crazy verb forms. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. All those 9 different parts of the slot machine and classifiers. I still look at that and go, what? But I'm hoping it'll come. I studied some other ancient languages that were difficult, but were much closer to English formatting. But Tlingit is a whole new game. But I still feel like I have to try it. There's like this magnetic pull keeping me going. Maybe it's the ancestors. Things that have inspired me, being in a group. My uncle, who flew me to that ku'ich years ago, he taught me how to count to 10. So I knew that I've known that for a while, but yeah. And what I hope to contribute, well, if there are any other Tlingit people in Calgary, I'd love to get to know them. If anyone knows of anyone else. And also another thing that I know, I am not a good person to do this, but something I'm curious about, just want to put the word out there, is Tlingit music. Is anyone generating any more music? And anything musical I retain better. So I was wondering, what if we put some Tlingit vocabulary to music, or and not just English music, but do it maybe more Tlingit musical style, traditional style of music. If we could, I don't know, find an innovative way to learn Tlingit vocabulary and grammar through Tlingit style music. That's a thought I've had that be fun to participate in, although I'm probably not the best person to take that on, but who knows. So anyway, Kunashish, I'm so thrilled to be here with you all, and look forward to the next 3 weeks.
Sheesh, we'll form a band. Be good.
I know a couple of singers in here. Liana?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, Lien, Colorado, Hack City, Italian, Irish, Dakshan, Galveston, Texas, yeah, City, Klinget, that's all I have. I'm definitely a beginner, but I'm a teacher. I'm a high school teacher, and I am planning to be in Juneau this summer. And as I researched that trip, it seemed to be a lot more meaningful to add language study to it. So I'm excited to be in the area in a more meaningful way. And I want to tell you guys, this stuff is working. So the small amount of Tlingit I know, I learned from watching Khutne's beginner Tlingit class on YouTube. I watched all 43 hours of it or whatever. Seriously, whatever you put up there, every single class. I have like pages of notes and I know nothing because it's so difficult. But it really, I mean, I'm in Galveston, Texas. I've never been to Alaska before. I know nothing about Tlingit, but I even know now it's not an L, so you got to say it different. And it's little things like that that, you know, the little drop that spreads and spreads and spreads, and we don't realize the effect that we're having by doing this. So, so that certainly is what inspires me, is people who seek out and create diverse community. I think that's really important. I contribute certainly curiosity. You know, that's how I found out about this in the first place. And I hope to overcome the screen time, because I've never had to do so much screen time, of course, of all of us this past year. And so I'm used to language classes in person where you can, you know, play card games and stuff with people. So having to do, you know, 3 hours a day at a screen and still be excited and motivated, that's what I'm gonna work on to overcome. So Ashling Gonostish, Dooch.
Kaudzene Achtla. Get you in
Kaudzene Akla Aya Aksai, Bleka Hena Christi Ye Ha Duasak, Ishkitan Nach Ha City, Natasa Hini Kwan Ha City, Peace River, Alberta, Canada, Ye Ha Yati. That's about, I had to write that all down, but that's about all I can kind of say in Tlingit. I'm a beginner Tlingit learner. I've taken one beginner class with Hune. I hope to gain a better grasp of the language. My children have been bugging me to teach them a little bit of Tlingit every day. And so I want to have a better handle on it myself to try and help them. I hope to contribute, I guess, just by learning, you know, even just within my clan, to be able to say a few words just to help keep that going. I hope to overcome my fear, to just not be afraid of, to just try and say it. And even if it's not right, to just try. My inspiration is my great grandma, Winnie Atlin. She was an elder in Carcross and one of the last few fluent speakers. She's always inspired me to take part in these language classes. And I just, especially even now that she's not here, I just feel it's really important to learn it and to pass it to my children and to keep the language alive. Ganeshish.
Sheesh. It's good to hear your grandma's name, Dake. She was really fun to talk to.
Echoy. Sheesh. Kaskatine.
Oh, sheesh.
Hi. Kaskatinaya Aksai Chakayakhat Kagwantan Nachatsiti Deshitan Yadiaya Daktintan Dachanaya Khunakau Hudach Junach Ye Khatyati. I'm looking at the little thing again. Hope to gain, like everybody else, I want to start working on, I've been trying to also work on thinking in Tlingit and, you know, using Tlingit when I can instead of English. I forgot to say where I was. I'm about to be taking intermediate classes. I just finished taking beginner classes with Ida. Hope to contribute, same as Yethiadi shared at the beginning. I want to help contribute to the safe environment. Something to overcome. The freeze. Every time I hear somebody say something to me and clink it out in public, it catches me off guard, and I always like just resort back to English eventually. Something that inspires me is my grandparents. In the program that I've been in, I've had to start talking way more to my grandparents, and it's been awesome. And I've been learning so much about them and their lives, and then about our culture and our family, and it's been really great. And so, yeah, Gashish.
Crystal Shawatki.
Ganeshchish, my name's Crystal. Shwatke Yuhat Duasak, Ganakteri Ayahat. So my Tlingit name is Shwatke. It was given to me when I was born. I was born in Whitehorse, Yukon. My people are from the Carcross and Burlash area of the Yukon Territory. Calgary Yehat Yati. So I live in Calgary now. I spent most of my life in Alberta and then split my time between Alberta and the Yukon. So I still have property in the Yukon. So I'm up there. Well, pre-pandemic, I was up there 5 times a year, but it's been a while since I've been up there. Definitely a beginner. For most of my life, the only Tlingit I knew was my name. I'm hoping to gain like base level skills that I can build on so I can speak from the heart. In Canada, I don't know if this is something in the States, but in Canada, we do land acknowledgements on the traditional territories that we're on. So as a guest of the traditional territory in Calgary, Alberta, I want to be able to make that land promise or that land acknowledgement in my language, just because it feels to me like it'd be more sincere. I'm hoping to contribute to that positive learning environment, making sure that it's inclusive, and I can be funny, so hopefully a little bit of comedy. At least I think I'm funny. One thing I hope to overcome is imposter syndrome. It really is something that catches up to me, especially being so disconnected from my community. I think I said this, I'm Carcross Tagish First Nation, but I haven't spent any of my life really in my community. So that's something that I definitely try and work on overcoming. And then something that inspires me, it's kind of a two-parter. The first is the women in my family. My mom has stories of her great-grandmother talking to her in Tlingit when she was a child. And then a few years ago, I actually got my hands on a recording of my great-great-grandfather, Kulseen, Patsy Henderson, singing traditional Tlingit songs and sharing traditional Tlingit stories. But I've never understood what he's saying. So that's something that's always made me want to learn the language. Ganeshish.
We're getting close to 8 o'clock Alaska time. Chakuksawe Johan, wherever you are, whatever time zone you're in. So we are probably going to have to start wrapping up, but we don't want to feel like anybody lost the chance or anything. So we will just sort of pick up right where we left off tomorrow. And we'll also go over, but I do want to go over like just a couple basics of the structure that we're going to sort of shift to. Is we're going to try and do like these kind of mini lessons is what we sort of, Ida and I were talking about. So about a 20-minute lesson. We'll probably do some stuff for folks who are just getting started. Then we're going to break into groups and give you an activity. You guys can chat with each other and sort of study and just learn a little bit more from each other, especially since we have people of such different levels, which is so great, because then you can learn from people who have already learned Tlingit, who can talk to you about all kinds of stuff that they have figured out. Then we'll come back and we'll share some stuff about sort of how the small groups went. Then we'll take a break and then we'll do it again. And then probably right around the 7 o'clock, 7:15 sort of time, we're going to kind of try and shift ourselves into the Tlingit language and just sort of close the evening's activities. And even if you're feeling like you're lost, you know, it's sort of like I was in Hawaii and I asked some people, I was like, hey man, how'd you learn how to swim? It's like, oh, my dad took me out in a boat, threw me in the ocean. So every now and then we're going to have to just throw you guys in the water, because at any given time, there's maybe maybe 1 or 2, maybe 3 or 4 places on earth where Tlingit is the primary language. So we're going to create that. Just keep yourself tuned in, take notes, do whatever. You can't, if we're trying to stay in Tlingit, like try not to ask us, what's that? You know, but feel free to sort of write it down, take a note, because we'll stop probably about 15 minutes before we end, and then we'll have time for reflection. And you can always ask then, or you can ask some other time. We're going to make sure that we've got times throughout the sessions to sort of just check in, see if anybody has anything you've been thinking about, wondering about. And just to reiterate, everybody belongs here. Is a day shiyakhtiyata. One kanins aya kisha kakatu good. Aka awe a day shiga has kawashi. E awe yat a just take a hit clean ye ke hayati, wuchin gachtiqin. Ya hashishko has hada aya gen has dak. Ye awa hasituasagu, yende yantiklake, a joe ye kwati yuhan, wuchin, keshi nakakach to art aya yag, ye hank aya ye hakakwati. So this is a safe place, what we'd call a dishi, a harbor. So sometimes when people were out in canoes, like a storm would come upon them, and they would look for a harbor to go and wait out the storm. So this is like your shelter, your sheltered harbor. And I think about that stuff because it's like we're in this one big clan house, and our ancestors are all around us, and they want us to succeed. And because of that, we're going to succeed. So don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about what you know or don't know, because this is the place to try it out. This is the place to get it wrong. You know, if you said it wrong, you know what's gonna happen? Nothing bad. It's not like the roof's gonna fall or anything like that. And so the buildings will still be standing. You'll still be there. We're not gonna laugh at you. And then those of you who want to learn how to say all the bad words, well, we'll have to save that for a later session. But we'll go over a few things. I had uncles, they used to say stuff. Sometimes you'd be like, Whoa! So Tlingit is fun, it's healing, and it's okay to laugh. It's okay to laugh, but it's also okay to say, you know, hey, you took this too far. I'm getting offended, you know, and so it's okay because we're the group. And if you didn't get a chance to introduce yourself, you will tomorrow. So, and then we're going to sort of shift after the introductions into sort of our kind of semi-structured learning environment. Okay. Atlin Gunners Cheese, Johan. We'll see each other tomorrow.
Okay.
Gunners Cheese.
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 Learn how to raise your hand on Zoom.
That's your homework.
Cheese, Ziagan.
Cheese. Have a good night.
Gunners Cheese.
Gunners Cheese.
Gunners Cheese, good night.
Oh, there's a hand up now.
Finish.